Hi guys, I'm in South Carolina. I'm on my way to Liberty Hill, South Carolina. I stopped here at a Dollar General store. I'm getting kind of hungry, so I thought I would run in, get me a little snack. I won't make it down to Liberty Hill tonight. It's already 3:30. But anyway, this is part one of the next video, of this video. This is part one of this video, or rather the next video that I'm going to do. Anyway, I was in Liberty Hill, South Carolina a couple of months ago, early January, like the first half of January. Anyway, I experienced some really strange, it was very strange. I had a very strange experience going through there. I don't know if you would call it paranormal or not. It was very strange. Anyway, if you're just finding my channel, I haven't talked about anything paranormal in any of my previous videos. All my videos have been about, car camping, that kind of thing. But anyway, this is, Liberty Hill was one of my travels. I happened to drive through there, and I just experienced something really strange. And I have been into hauntings, into paranormal for a long time, ever since my first 3-car accident. As a matter of fact, I was just in another 3-vehicle accident, rear-ended by a tractor trailer. Anyway, so I went through Liberty Hill about 2 months ago. Well, no, about almost three. It was first half of January. It was really cold. I don't even remember what route I took, but and that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to go back, and I'm going back to that area. I did take pictures, but I want to go back and I want to do a video, and I want to, talk about it more in depth, show some of the pictures, but also do some video. There's a house in there. It's a place. It's right off of a place called, I think, Pays Ferry Road or something like that, or Peace Ferry Road or something like that. Anyway. And I will come back. I'm going to do a little more research and give you a little more details about that, about Liberty Hill, about that area, just so you got a little background. But anyway, this was the 1st of January, and I was out on my Christmas road trip, if you will, and it was lagging over into January. And I was, out exploring lakes and rivers and boat ramps and the nature, just state parks, different stuff like that. And I chose, I want to say it's Highway 594, but I don't think that's accurate. I will have to go back and actually retrace my steps so I know exactly which route I was on, and then I can be really clear about the route I was taking and everything. Anyway, I was driving down this route, and I was headed toward, actually, the route I took was going to bring me into Camden, South Carolina. And I've been there before, and I've stayed there at the Walmart. I think last year I stayed for like 3 or 4 weeks and in the Camden area, and I really liked it. So anyway, I was headed toward Camden, and the route I took took me right past Liberty Hill. And I got out. There's an old church there. I took some pictures. Anyway, it was kind of rainy, so I only took pictures of the church, and then there's an old abandoned gas station down the road. Anyway, as I was driving down through there, I started experiencing some very strange, it was really super strange. I've never experienced really anything like it before in my life. After my first 3-car accident, I had experienced a lot of really strange stuff. Just stuff that would, if I really, at that time, I mean, honestly, if I had talked to my family about it, they would have probably tried to have me committed, because it was just very odd. It was very strange. And I had had some, I guess what you'd call sixth sense feelings before that, but nothing like what I experienced after my 3-car accident. And that's been over 10 years ago. So when I experienced this a couple months ago, going through Liberty Hill, it really took me aback, because I hadn't experienced anything like this in over 10 years. So, I take that back. It might have been less than that, but I hadn't experienced anything really strange in years. So, let's just say that, years. And so to experience what I did was just really, it's hard to explain, and it's hard to describe. Anyway, but I will do the best I can. Anyway, I was driving down route, don't remember the route now, but when I go back, I'll know. Anyway, and I saw something, I think it said recreation area. So I took the turn. I thought it was going to take me to a recreation area. Turns out it wasn't. It was all blocked off, and I couldn't get in there. And I think it was authorized personnel only or something. I don't even know why there was a sign there. But anyway, I turned around, took a right to continue on my trek toward Camden. As I drove, and I don't think I've been driving that long, maybe 5 miles, maybe another 4 or 5 miles, not far. And then it opened, and then it's like, it's kind of open. There's a lot of trees, and there's nothing there. It's very desolate. But but all of a sudden it kind of goes into a closed off type feeling, because all of a sudden it's nothing but forest. And that goes on for a few miles. Anyway, about the time I hit the forested area, I started to feel really strange, really not just strange, almost I don't want to say I was a bad feeling, but I kind of did. I kind of got a really, really bad feeling. And anyway, I'm doing my best to get my thoughts together, because this is, it's been a couple months. I meant to do the video a lot sooner. But as a matter of fact, before I was rear-ended by the tractor trailer, I was planning on going back to Liberty Hill, and that's been about a month ago, or more than a month ago. But I've had so much going on with that, and this is my first trip back out on the road after the accident. Anyway, so I was planning on going back, but I didn't. And Liberty Hill predates my videos. I wasn't doing videos then. I didn't start doing videos until a little bit after that, because I've only been doing videos for a couple months. Anyway, I started to feel really, really strange. I got a really bad feeling, but I felt like it was just, it was, I kept going. Usually I wouldn't do this. I would probably turn around, but I was so far out, and I was actually closer to Camden than going all the way back to, I'm not sure what the next stop was, the closest, Lancaster, I think. And I was closer to Camden. So I figured, it's not going to take that long. I'm only, it's maybe 30 miles into Camden. So we're talking maybe a 30, 45 minute drive. It's not that bad. So I kept going. I continued to feel strange. It didn't let up. It did not let up. Finally, I came to the old church, which is right there at Pease Ferry Road, and I photographed that and took a few other photographs. Then I continued on my trek toward Camden. When I got down, and then it's only maybe another mile or two past that, maybe a couple miles past that, and there's an old abandoned gas station. So I stopped. That's what I do. I like to photograph old stuff, abandoned buildings, abandoned houses, old cars, that kind of thing. So I stopped, I got out, started taking pictures, and it was rainy. It was off and on raining. It wasn't a really good day. It was cold and kind of rainy. It was kind of rainy and really cold. Anyway, so I get out of my car, I'm taking pictures, and I don't know how to describe it. It almost felt like I had slipped into another dimension, and that's the only way I can describe it. I felt like I was slipping into something, into another dimension or another realm or an alternative reality. And I have researched this stuff a lot in the past, but anyways, honestly, I don't, that's how I felt. And as I stood there and I continued to take pictures, all of a sudden I had this really, I felt like I was in a time warp. That was another thing. All of a sudden I felt like that I had been jolted back to a different time. It sounds strange, I know, but that's how I felt. I felt like I'd been jolted back to a different time, and I'm not sure what time it was, maybe a few decades ago, maybe 40s, 50s, That's kind of the vibe I got. And as I'm standing there, I hear a siren, and which it was really strange because there were no cars down this road. I mean, when I drove this road, I drove for about probably 30 minutes, and I passed, I think, one car. So it was just really, it was just, anyway, just, there was no cars on the road. Out of nowhere, I hear a siren, and I'm standing there, and I almost expect to see something go down the road that's from the 50s, 40s or 50s. That's what I expect to see. I'm just standing there and waiting to see some old car or old ambulance or something going down the road that's from the 40s or 50s. That's how entrenched I felt in it. I continued on my trek. I wrapped up my pictures. I took a few more. There's a church across the street. I photographed that. And I photographed, it was a sunset. So I also photographed, hung around long enough. It was getting late. Hung around, took some pictures of the sunset. Then I continued on my trek. The first store I come to was a Food Lion. I pulled in there. This had to be another 30 minutes later, maybe a little more. Starting to get dark. I pulled into Food Lion. I still felt out of it, out of sorts, really strange, like just things were, something just wasn't right, but I couldn't put my finger on it, and I stopped just to kind of try to get my head, together. Finally, I wanted to leave, I was ready to leave. I think I mapped to Walmart because I wanted to go to Walmart, get myself a little something for dinner. So I mapped to Walmart. I went to Walmart. Turns out I was actually in this area maybe a year and a half ago or something. And I'm not sure. I take that back. It was, I don't think the Walmart was right in Camden. I think it was in the adjoining city of Lugoff, I think. Anyway, that's not really important. So I go to Walmart. I get my, something to eat. And then I go over to a Gate gas station to get something to drink, and then I leave. And for some reason I had to go across the street for something, but I don't know for what. Maybe I took the wrong turn or something. So I pulled into a Lowe's. I think that's what it was, a Lowe's across the street, and I had to turn around, and I just still felt out of it. I mean, by now, I've left, I'm long gone from Liberty Hill. I'm already been to Walmart. I've been to the gas station. I sat in the Walmart parking lot and played on my phone for a few minutes, and then, left. I mean, this had to be at least a good 45 minutes to an hour later. At least a good hour later. I turned around, got where I needed to go, on the right trek or right route because I was headed to a truck stop. As I was driving, I still felt out of sorts. Again, I can't explain it. I felt so out of sorts. I still felt like I wasn't in the moment, in reality, if you will, or in real time. That's how I felt. Anyway, I'll be back with you guys in just a second. I see my phone's about ready to die. Hi, I'm back. Got my phone plugged in. Anyway, as I was saying, I turned around, left the Lowe's, and I don't remember how far I had to drive to get to the truck stop. Probably about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Anyway, I arrived at the truck stop. Everything was fine. I arrived at the truck stop, sat, proceeded to eat and watch a little TV on my iPad. That's what I usually do before I go to sleep. And I still felt strange. I still felt like out of sorts and kind of out of it, like almost numb. And I hadn't felt that, like I said, I hadn't felt that way since my last car accident over 10 years ago. So I don't know how to explain it. I will say this. Excuse me. I will say this. I felt a very strong sense of dread in this area. just very, it was very, very dread, a lot of dread. I felt a heaviness in this area. I also felt like there was a dark energy in this area, very negative, very dark. That's how I felt. I mean, to this day, I still cannot explain it. Anyway, the next morning, I woke up and I decided I wanted to drive back through that area again. I wanted to see if I felt the same way, if I felt the same feelings or got any of the same dread or felt anything even remotely like what I had the day before. Now, mind you, the next day was sunny. I don't know if it was any warmer, but it was definitely sunny. So it was a nicer day the next day. I was going in the opposite direction, though. I wasn't coming from when I left, I was actually coming from kind of the Winnsboro area and headed to Camden. This time I was leaving Camden and headed back toward either Winnsboro or Lancaster. So I was going in the opposite. I was traveling the route in the opposite direction. I don't know if that had made a difference. I don't know. I will say this. I experienced nothing. I went the very next day and I experienced nothing. In fact, the next day I drove down Pease Ferry Road. I drove all the way to the end. I photographed an abandoned house there. There's another house that I think is empty, but it was for sale at one point because I Googled it, and at one point it was for sale. I don't think it is now, but I don't know. Anyway, so it was raining. Even though it was raining, though, you know, I take that back. It was the next morning. Let me rephrase. It wasn't sunny the next morning. I'm getting things kind of messed up here. Want to be clear. The next morning, it was not sunny. It was still raining. I think it cleared up later in the day. That's what happened. Later in the evening, it cleared up, and then the sun came out. But as I drove back through Liberty Hill, it wasn't. It was still raining because I remember getting out of the car and snapping the photos as quickly as I could. And I didn't want to get my phone wet. You know, done that before. That's not a real good thing. But as far as feeling dread or feeling any bad feelings, I felt nothing. The next day, I felt nothing. And again, I don't know how to explain it. It's just very strange. It's strange that I felt such an odd feeling, an odd heaviness, and then the next day I didn't feel it at all. And as I said, I was planning on going back because once I started doing my video, I actually wanted to go back and do video. I had already taken some pictures, but after I started doing my video, which I didn't start doing until I was in Georgia, I decided to turn around and go back to Liberty Hill. But I just didn't make it. I didn't make it. I had stuff to do. I had to return to North Carolina for a property closing, and I had to do that. So obviously that took precedence. And then there were some other things I had to tend to and deal with as well. And then I had to go up to Gastonia in the Charlotte area to further deal with some more business. And I had just left Salisbury, North Carolina, and boom, I get rear-ended by a tractor trailer. So that really sidetracked me as far as going back to Liberty Hill. Now it's after Easter, and I just went out a few days ago, back out on my first road trip, and this is my first road trip since the accident. Yesterday I went to a state park. That you'll see that if you watch my videos, you'll see that in the last video. Anyway, to this day I wonder if the dread feelings I was having was maybe a warning of what was to come. I have to wonder that. I mean, I could be wrong. Who knows? I don't know. There's no way to explain or know anything about stuff like this. But I wonder if perhaps that was a warning, because it wasn't the only time that I felt senses of dread or senses of impending doom, if you will. It wasn't the first time. In fact, for the first half of January, all through January, at least till I went to Georgia, I kept feeling it, but not to the extent I did in Liberty Hill, not the extreme dark energy, the negativity, the dread, not to that extent. I would just feel, you know, a little, like, I would feel a little bit of dread, maybe a little bit of impending doom feeling, nothing really major. And I just kept putting it down, and I just thought it was the areas I was traveling in South Carolina, and also possibly the fact that my car was, it had high mileage. It had 163,000. So I kind of, and I've been driving it a long time, and I never had any issues, never had any trouble with it. So I just kind of put it down. I just chalked it up to, worry, overactive imagination and worry that I was going to break down, and when in reality, I didn't, luckily, but I ended up rear-ended by a tractor trailer, and now the car's totaled. Albeit having to buy another car. I would have preferred a breakdown. That would have probably been easier. But unless it was something major like a transmission or engine, and then I wouldn't have probably fixed it. But I would have just purchased something else, which I ended up having to do anyway. So it's neither here nor there. It's all over and done with now. But I wonder if the feelings I got and that particular feeling of dread might have had something to do with what later happened. But I don't know. I don't have any answers for that. Maybe, maybe not. There are no answers. The one thing that I do know is that I definitely want to go back and photograph the area again, videotape the area again, and hopefully it will be on a day that's nice and sunny. It is definitely warm. It is now hot. I think I looked at the weather, and it is supposed to be like 80, at least from what the weather said. It is weather.com. It is supposed to be like 88 for a daytime high. That's a little warm for me, but anyway, so it's hot now. So it's much warmer. It's like up in the 80s now, and so it's not cold now. It's not rainy. If it does happen to be rainy, I will probably wait until it's sunny to go back so that I can get better video, better pictures, better video. Because, Camden's an area that I like, and I don't mind staying for a couple of days, and and I still got a little bit of time. They haven't contacted me yet to go in for my MRI, so I have a little bit of time left. I still have a few days before I will have to go in for the MRI, and it's already Wednesday, so, it's doubtful that I will have to go in until, they haven't even called me yet, so it's very doubtful that I'll have to go in until next week. So, maybe later. Could be longer than that, but I'm just estimating. Anyway, I finally got a little ahead on my pickup truck that broke down when I went to Charlotte. My pickup truck broke down while I was trying to pick up my stuff in Charlotte. So, out of my wrecked car. Anyway, I got some information on that now, but I will talk about that later. I'll talk about that in probably the next part of the After the Accident series that I've been doing. Anyway, because this is just about Liberty Hill and about the strange occurrences, strange feelings, paranormal, maybe not. I don't know. I don't have any answers. So anyway, this was part 1 of revisiting. I'm going to be revisiting Liberty Hill. Anyway, I've been on here long enough, and it is getting late. I need to get something to eat. Well, it's not really late, but I definitely need to get a little snack, get something to drink, and then continue on my trek. I don't know how far I am from Camden now. I would have to map it, so I don't know. I think I take that back. I think I'm about an hour out of Camden still. So, but I don't know how far I'll be from the truck stop, because the truck stop I think is another 20 miles past that, or at least the one that I will stay at. Maybe a little bit further, maybe 30, I don't know. Anyway, so I'm looking at about another hour, maybe a little better. Anyway, this concludes part 1. The next video, and this is all going to be by itself. The next video will be me going back to Liberty Hill, and I'll talk a little bit more about, some of the stuff that I experienced. And if I feel anything strange when I go back, I don't know, I don't know if I'll feel anything strange this time or not. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I know that, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. Maybe, I kind of really don't want to feel like I'm in a time warp and back in the 50s or something. I really don't. And again, I can't explain any of that stuff. It is the absolute strangest experience that, hands down, that I've had. I have had some other kind of blow your mind ones, though. I have had a couple others that rank up there pretty close. And I'm not going to talk about those in this video, but I will come back and talk about some other really strange experiences or paranormal experiences that I've had. I don't know if you'd call them paranormal, but strange, out of the ordinary experiences that I've had. But they occurred right after my 3-car accident over 10 years ago. Anyway, I'm going to conclude this video now. I need to get something to eat. Thank you for, if you like my videos, subscribe. If you're watching, thank you for watching. Have a good day, good evening, and God bless.